This weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 officially kicked off the 2023 summer movie season. So today I thought I'd make a special little episode of Box Office with Ben, where we take a look at the upcoming slate of summer releases, discuss which films I think are going to be the most successful, which films are going to make the most amount of money, and ultimately what are going to be the top 10 highest grossing films of the summer. This summer is stacked when it comes to movies. It is easily the most packed release schedule for the summer movie season since 2019, since before the pandemic. There is a major studio blockbuster being released almost every single week, which is wild. So I'm gonna go through the months and tell you what movies I think have a chance at being on that list of top 10 highest grossing films of the summer. And then at the end of the video, I'll give you my official top 10 prediction. And these are worldwide numbers, not domestic. So let's get started with the month of May. And first up, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which just released this past weekend. Now this one's a little bit of a cheat because we already know how well it did opening weekend, so we can make some predictions based off of that, although there is a lot still to be told with Guardians and its box office. A lot could still happen depending on how well it holds. Superhero movies are obviously in a very interesting spot right now. I think there is a bit of superhero fatigue or bad superhero movie fatigue where audiences have been burned by superhero movies too many times, and because of that, they're being more selective on which ones they're going to go see in the theater. I think that hurt the opening weekend for Guardians. I think that's going to hurt the other superhero movies releasing soon. But Guardians has gotten great word of mouth. And if your movie is good and has good word of mouth, even if it doesn't pop as much as it would have in the opening weekend, it's going to have good legs. It also has a couple of weeks to make money. It has next weekend to make money without any real competition until the week after that when Fast X releases. Speaking of Fast X, on May 19th, we got Fast X releasing in theaters. This is obviously a massive franchise. The Fast and Furious franchise always makes a ton of money. The last two installments that were released before the pandemic both made over $1 billion. Fast 9 was released like right in the middle of the pandemic, and it even managed to make over $700 million. This is a big franchise, especially internationally. So I do think that worldwide box office gross on this one is going to be very high. The one thing going against this film is that I think there's been a slight decline in interest in the franchise. Fast 8 did not make as much as Fast 7. All right, and then the next major release is May 26th, and we got The Little Mermaid releasing then. I have no reason to believe this movie is not going to be huge. All of the Disney live action remakes make a lot of money, especially the Renaissance era of Disney films. I'm talking Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and with all of those films making over $1 billion, I think this film easily can make over $1 billion. Now, the only thing holding this back is I think audiences are starting to get a little tired of the remakes. But I don't think that's a huge majority of people, and I think a lot of people are just going to give into the nostalgia and want to see this back on the big screen and are going to go and see it anyways. As for June, our first major contender is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is releasing on June 2nd. The first film made under $400 million at the worldwide box office, which is not fantastic, but this movie has blown up since then. It has gained such a following. This movie has so many fans. Everybody loves this movie. And I think by now, everybody's seen this movie. Spider-Man is a massive brand. The whole idea of the multiverse is something that's become a lot more mainstream in the past couple of years. And like I said, the first film is just beloved. Maybe not biggest of the summer massive, but it's gonna be on my list. Transformers Rise of the Beast releases on June 9th. This is an interesting one. The Transformers brand has been declining since the Michael Bay movies. Kind of feels like it's run its course at this point. But I don't know, this is a weird one. I can't really gauge the interest on this one that much. I think this one has a lot of potential. It could be really big, but it could also be another Bumblebee and not really get a lot of traction. On top of that, the marketing has been fine. It's been okay, but nothing to write home about. I don't think the marketing has won over a ton of people that wouldn't have otherwise been interested. The Flash releases on June 16th. Now, this is a film that a lot of people are talking about. It had its first screening at CinemaCon, and there was a lot of positive word of mouth coming out of that screening. A lot of people calling it one of the best superhero movies ever made, the best DC movie. So I think it could be big. I think you're going to get people coming out, the older generation who want to see Michael Keaton back. I think you're going to see a lot of the younger generation who want to see a fun multiverse superhero movie. This is a DC movie though. And DC is in a weird place. Shazam made under $150 million worldwide. That's a flop. That is terrible for Shazam. The word of mouth, the hype behind this film, it could end up doing well and ending up on the top 10 because of that. Elemental releases June 16th. This is Pixar's newest film. As much as I would like to say that this is going to be one of the biggest films of the summer, I think Disney has really shot themselves in the foot with their animated movies, putting all of their animated films, and in particular their Pixar films, straight to Disney Plus through the pandemic. Really trained their audiences to not go see their films in theaters. It really backfired on them. Now, it could just be Lightyear and Strange World, that Lightyear confused audiences, Strange World wasn't a phenomenal film, and that if Elemental comes out and is a really great Pixar film, that it can do very well at the box office. We've seen that animated films can do well. Obviously, Super Mario Brothers is the biggest film of the year. No Hard Feelings releases June 23rd. This is the Jennifer Lawrence rated R raunchy comedy. Instantly, because it's rated R, that limits its appeal. This is not going to be a movie for everybody. This is not a 4-quadrant film. This is not going to be one of the biggest films of the summer. I think it could be successful, especially since you got Jennifer Lawrence as the lead in here. Indiana Jones releases June 30th. This one is also so interesting to me. This could be the Top Gun of the summer. This could be the film that everybody just rallies behind, that young and old go and see. It's nostalgia-filled action adventure, but it could also be a film that's just coming out past its prime and that not a lot of people are really interested in. I do think it's more likely to be pretty big. This is a big IP, a big franchise, and it's been a long time since we've seen Indiana Jones on the big screen. But the biggest thing that makes me have faith in this movie is James Mangold. The fact that he is directing this film, the fact that it's premiering at Cannes. Clearly, Disney has a lot of confidence in this film. June 30th, we got another animated film by DreamWorks, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. I don't think this film is going to do very well. The marketing for this film has been pretty much non-existent, and the trailers that we have seen haven't looked great. They haven't gotten a lot of attention. Nobody's talking about this movie. This reminds me of like Spirit Untamed a couple of years ago, that DreamWorks film. All right, with that, we get into July, and the first big release of July is Insidious: The Red Door, which releases July 7th. I don't know about this one. The Insidious franchise is not what it once was. I don't think a lot of people are asking for another Insidious movie. I don't think a lot of people are interested. Now you got the original cast returning here. That could bring some people in, but this was never the biggest franchise in the first place. And then on July 14th, we got Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I think this is going to ride the coattails of Top Gun, and I think it's going to do very well. The Mission Impossible franchise has been getting better and better with each installment, and with that, the box office has been going up and up with each installment, and I have no reason to believe that trend won't continue, especially coming off of Top Gun Maverick. Yeah, I think that this film is going to be huge. I think this is a potential $1 billion film. I won't tell you where it's going to be on my list, but it's going to be very high. July 21st is a big day. We got the Barbie versus Oppenheimer. I'll start with Barbie. This is like the biggest wild card of the summer for me. I could see this going either way. I could see this movie being like a massive hit. I could also see it like really underperforming. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to predict. Because on one hand, this has gotten so much social media attention. A lot of people are aware of this movie. A lot of people are talking about this movie. But at the same time, who is this movie for? Who is the target audience? Because parents aren't gonna bring their kids to go and see this movie, but then adults might just instantly write off the film because it's the Barbie movie. So then who's gonna end up seeing this film? It's interesting to me. I don't know. I don't know if it has enough wide, broad appeal to be one of the highest grossing films of the summer. And then we got Oppenheimer, which is the dad movie of the summer. I do think this film is going to do very well. Christopher Nolan movies actually do pretty well at the box office, usually. You just know that this is gonna be one of those movies that people say you gotta see in theaters. It's a big screen experience with the sound and the visuals. Don't bet against Christopher Nolan. Even Tenet, which was released in the middle of the pandemic. It was like the first film released in theaters after the pandemic when tons of theaters were still closed. Most theaters were still closed, yet it still managed to make $350 million. I think that's super, super, super impressive. July 28th, we got Disney's Haunted Mansion. I think this is one that kind of depends on how good the movie is. I don't see it being one of the biggest of the summer, but it could be a lot of fun. It could be a fun, enjoyable, family, scary movie. I haven't really seen a lot of people super interested in this movie. I don't know how many people are gonna rush out to see this film. Feels like one that people are just gonna choose to wait to see on Disney+. That's just kind of the vibe I'm getting from it. I'm excited for it, but I don't know if it's a top 10 of the summer. And now we get into the final month of the summer, August, where our first major release is The Meg 2 on August 4th. Now the trailer just dropped for this movie, and it's been getting a lot of online attention, like a surprising amount of online attention. People are excited for this movie. People are interested in this movie. The first Meg movie made over $500 million at the box office for a Meg movie. That's huge, that's massive. So I'm not gonna bet against this film. There's dinosaurs in there now too. Like what? You got dinosaurs and giant sharks? That's just money right there. August 4th, you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This has potential. The animation is cool. It's very Spider-Verse-esque, and you might get some people interested because of that. I don't think a lot of adults who were die-hard Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans are going to be rushing out to see this film because it's more kid-oriented. I could see it doing okay, but I don't see it doing super, super well. August 11th, we got Gran Turismo. The trailer came out. It looks okay. It looks like a Gran Turismo movie. You know, this is a pretty popular video game IP, so it's got some name recognition behind it. You got David Harper, Orlando Bloom in there. This is one that I'm also not really feeling. It doesn't look like anything we haven't seen before. It doesn't look super fresh or exciting. It looks like a pretty standard racing movie. August 18th is Blue Beetle. I think this could be another Shazam. Obviously, Shazam did not do well. I think Blue Beetle could share the same fate with it being a, you know, family-oriented, coming-of-age superhero film. It gives me Shazam vibes. This was a film that was supposed to be on HBO Max, but they decided to put it in theaters, and you kind of feel that from the trailers. Is this the film that audiences are going to choose to go see in theaters? I really don't think so. This feels like a film the audiences are just going to wait to see on streaming. And then the final film of the summer is The Equalizer 3, which releases Labor Day weekend. The last two films made just under $200 million worldwide, so I don't see why this film would do even as good as those other films. So yeah. So that's the summer. Those are all the films that I think have a chance at being on this list. If I didn't mention a film, it's because I don't think it has a chance at being one of the biggest films of the summer. But now I'm gonna give you my top 10 official list. Okay, this is my list, and we're gonna come back to this list at the end of the summer and see how well I did. All right, so here's my list. As you can see, I got Mission Impossible, Little Mermaid, Guardians at the top of the list. Those are films that I think are all super safe bets, are all likely to do very, very well. I think Mission Impossible and The Little Mermaid could both be billion-dollar films. Spider-Verse, I think, is going to do much better than the last Spider-Verse. There's a lot of buzz behind this film. Fast X, I have pretty high up, maybe a little lower than some, because I think this franchise is losing some steam and is not going to do quite as well as some people are expecting. The Flash, I think, is going to end up pretty high on this list because of its word of mouth. And Barbie's a bit of a wild card, like I was saying. I think it could be super huge, so for that reason, I'm taking a risk and I'm throwing it on this list. So that's my list. That's my official prediction. I'm locking it in. Let me know what your official predictions are for the summer down in the comment section below. Are there any films that I missed? Are there any films that you think I'm crazy for not having on my top 10? And yeah, we're gonna revisit this list throughout the summer, and then we're gonna see how well I did. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're excited for all of these movies like I am, and I will see you in the next video. See ya.